Hello, I'm Professor Armstrong. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about operations management as a potential specialization for your MBA program and as a potential career choice. If you've already taken the Introductory Operations Management course, then you know that operations is the part of the business that creates value for customers by producing goods or by delivering services. And you know that we put a lot of emphasis on improving efficiency and effectiveness of our business to increase that value. And hopefully by this point, you've already seen several real-life examples in your course. Companies like Starbucks that use operations techniques to improve productivity and thereby increase their profits. So this slide shows the operations courses potentially available each year. The first thing to note is there is no specific sequence to these courses. Once you've completed the Introductory Operations Management course, that's the prerequisite for all of them, so you can take these electives in whichever order they come up. The second thing to note is that each of the operations management professors tends to specialize in teaching just one or two of these courses because each one has a different technical background, each one has a different professional association. So although I'm going to give you a brief introduction to these, I would encourage you to ask more detailed questions of the individual professor who teaches that course. So project management is one of the courses in the operations concentration. Projects are different than regular business. Regular business is about going concerns. You're going to sell something to customers day after day. But projects are something that have beginnings and endings. We want the project to finish by a certain date successfully. Consequently, project management focuses very much on things like scheduling, managing your resources, controlling costs, controlling risk, so that you can actually successfully finish the project by that target date. The Project Management course is designed to fulfill the Project Management Institute's initial requirements towards the project management certifications. Aside from being of interest to the operations area, this might particularly interest those of you who are planning to focus on either accounting or information technology, because both of those fields are often involved in running projects. Every audit in accounting is a project. You have a target date to finish by. Every IT project involving hardware or software installations is a project, and it needs to be managed that way. One of the courses I teach is the course on quality management. I particularly put a lot of emphasis on quality and process improvement. How do we make our business, our products better? I focus on what is called the Lean Six Sigma approach to quality improvement. And one reason for doing that is to help you prepare for professional certifications from the American Society of Quality. For example, the Six Sigma Green Belt. Now to do that, we have to cover a mix of both the management topics of why quality matters and the statistical topics of how do you actually do process improvement. So on the management side, we will talk about things like customer needs and wants. We'll talk about the costs of having bad quality versus the cost of maintaining good quality. We'll talk about business standards such as ISO 9000. On the statistical side, we'll talk about tools you have already learned, such as analysis of variance, linear regression, and process control, and apply them to the quality topic. Aside from operations, this course might also interest those of you in marketing, because marketing has the responsibility of talking to the customer and finding out what they think of our current quality and what we would have to do to improve it. Supply chain management. Looks at the supply chain as to say all the steps or stages that run from a raw material supplier through manufacturer, through a retailer, out to the end consumer. What do you have to make function? What do you have to get working together to deliver that product to the end consumer? It's relevant to goods, also relevant to services. So the supply chain management course looks at the management of the flows of material, flows of information, and flows of money along that supply chain. Some of the topics that are studied include the strategy for supply chains, how do you design the supply chain to work efficiently and effectively, how do you manage the inventory at each level, where should you have inventory, how much, where is it going to come from, how are you going to ship it from one place to another, how do you manage your relationships with your suppliers and relationships with your customers, and of course a lot of modern IT, supply chain management depends on good IT. And more recently, we're interested in green supply chains, making them more sustainable. The supply chain management course is a first step towards a variety of professional certifications in the supply chain management area, offered by several different professional associations. So lots to choose from. In the simulation course, you'll learn to build models of real-life systems like factories or airports or hospitals using computer software, so that you experiment with those models to learn about the real system. So for example, if you were thinking of buying an expensive new machine for your factory, rather than going to that cost in real life, first you could construct a simulation model, try it out with a simulated new machine to see if it actually is worth making that change in reality. To construct one of these simulations, you first have to define what process or system you want to model. You then have to construct the model in the software. You'll need to collect some data from the real-life system so that you can calibrate the model, and then you can use that calibrated model to test out various alternatives. Computer simulation has a lot of applications to the operations field, modeling, for example, the flow of product through a factory or the flow of customers through an airport. But also has applications in areas such as marketing if you're looking, say, at customer behavior. Because this is one of our most software-intensive courses in operations, it might interest those of you who are interested in computers, information technology, or the analytics area. Spreadsheet modeling is another course we offer. You've undoubtedly used spreadsheets as tools in many of your previous courses. Here is an opportunity to increase your expertise. So the course looks at how you design, develop, and implement integrated systems of spreadsheets for business analysis. So it combines methods from management science and business analytics along with the technology of spreadsheets and Visual Basic applications programming. Topics covered include linear, integer, and nonlinear programming, network optimization, how you make decisions when you have multiple criteria that you have to trade off, data visualization, and data mining. The course examines real-world applications not only in the operations area, but also for marketing, finance, human resources, and other topics. This course will interest not only those of you in operations, but also those going into analytics, because it's one of our more software-intensive courses. Game theory is another course that I teach. Game theory gives us a way to understand situations where several people have to make decisions independently, but the results they get partly depend on the choices made by the other decision makers. A classic example is business competition, such as between Coke and Pepsi. Coca-Cola and Pepsi will each make a decision about what kind of advertising campaign to run this week, but they realize that the results of that advertising campaign partly depend on what the other company chooses to do. Game theory also applies in what is sometimes called co-opetition situations, such as wage negotiations between union and management. The two sides have to cooperate to reach an agreement so the company can run and make a profit. But at the same time, they're competing on how to divide that profit between the employees and the shareholders. The course involves lots of calculations. The mathematics is very simple, something like solving two equations for one unknown, but the logic can be very counterintuitive. And so if you like logic puzzles, you will probably enjoy this course. You might also enjoy it if you're going into marketing, human resources, or finance, because game theory has lots of applications in those fields. As you've probably figured out from my previous slides, there are a lot of professional associations in the operations area. Each of these provide professional certifications, they provide additional training, and there's opportunities for networking, meeting people, perhaps finding jobs. American Society of Quality, the Project Management Institute, and then there's several different associations related to supply chain, depending on which element of the supply chain you're particularly interested in. Now let me offer you a few suggestions on how to choose your courses and your specialty. First of all, if you're really interested in operations, great, take 5 operations courses. We'd love to have you. If you're having trouble choosing between operations and analytics, because there are some similarities there, the good news is you can combine them. You can take an operations concentration with 4 operations courses plus 1 analytics course, or you can take an analytics concentration with 4 analytics courses plus 1 operations course. If you're going to choose some other specialty, that's fine. There's lots of great ones in our business school. you're always free to take one of your course electives in operations. We'd be happy to have you, even if it's just for that one. If you think you would like to run your own business someday, in my opinion, I think you should take a mixture of operations and marketing courses. And the reason for that is, as a company president, you really need to understand your product, which is what operations can teach you about, and you really need to understand your customer, which is what marketing can teach you about. If you did your undergraduate degree in a technical field like engineering, applied sciences, or something like that, that might be another reason why you would be interested in taking operations. A lot of the topics we teach would also be taught in something like, say, industrial engineering, although obviously we are going to put a lot more emphasis on the business application, whereas the engineers would spend more time on the technical details. And finally, most importantly, study something that interests you. It's your career, it's your life. Take some courses that are going to interest you. So I wish you the best of luck in making your decisions.